Hey everybody, you're looking at the Magnetosphere simulations. Some bizarre things happening, and I'm going to point them out to you. We see again field lines in the sun's tailstream or the Earth's tailstream. These changes and pulsations do not correspond with any changes occurring on the far right hand side of the simulation. In other words, what's being picked up in the tailstream is not being measured in front or at the bow shock zone, at least not very well represented on this simulation. But there's other simulations that do depict the bow shock zone, and this isn't one of them. But we do see again a spiraling in or a reversal of the direction of the magnetic field in the tailstream. You see arrows pointing at Earth. They're supposed to be pointing away from Earth, but basically what you have is a spiraling vortex blowing through our tailstream, and we know that most of those are electrons. You can tell there's no density changes on the far right hand side of the simulation. There you see a little color change from yellow to green, but green is less density. So if you have less density, probably have higher speeds, maybe could twist up and unsettle your magnetic field lines. But this phenomenon where these balls of particles come through and spiral, almost always seeming in the same direction, in a very consistent manner, tells me that even when there's no coronal hole stream, even when there's no solar flares, we're seeing this phenomenon repeated hundreds and hundreds of times every single day. So we switch to one of my favorite magnetosphere simulations because it depicts energy and it really shows you the bow shock zone in detail. I mean, if you look to the far right of the simulation, you see like a double rainbow. You see a second bow shock zone there, and you see a crossing and a looping in the tailstream. Looks like the stem of an apple laying sideways, but again, those are particles being directed in to the equatorial regions of our magnetic field and to the equatorial regions of our Earth, and they meet right there at the 9 o'clock position on this simulation. And when they get concentrated, they like a cannon repel each other like a shotgun blast. And look at the bow shock zone, what's going on there. You're seeing a whole wave of electrons transfer themselves from the outer bow shock zone to the inner bow shock zone, leaving a triple rainbow now. That is exceptional. And to me, that is indication we're passing directly in an alignment with a brown dwarf, that brown dwarf, Planet X, Nemesis, and the Sun. And that, if that's the case, it's pretty much exactly where we thought it would be. So again, this is subjective information that cannot or hasn't yet to debunk or suggest that we're wrong. In fact, the evidence pretty much suggests that we were right about where this thing is and what it's doing. And I mean, that's awesome news. I think it's great news. We should be popping champagne corks. The danger isn't over. I mean, if you look directly at the simulation, you can see that's a lot of energy surrounding Earth, and it's there quite frequently. And when the coronal hole streams hit, you're just doubling the amount of particles that normally are washing through and by and over our planet. But that's significant energy, that's a significant event, and the fact that you're not seeing the magnetosphere compress tells me they're not protons. In fact, protons have gone missing now for 3 or 4 years. Ever since solar minimum, we have had no protons except during Earth-directed coronal mass ejections, which are few and far between. So then what we're doing then is we're looking for earthquake sequences that would indicate we're entering into an alignment with a brown dwarf and the sun. That would be significantly geo-effective, pushing earthquake clustering up to close to 7.0, at least if it's going to behave like it's been behaving for the last few years. This brown dwarf, people call him the Nibiru, and the Nibiru is not a brown dwarf, by the way. And so we're going to go and pull up our earthquake archive and just take a look and see what the earthquakes have been doing in the last 30 days. On May 12th, we had Costa Rica 6.1. New Guinea been rocking and rolling 5.6. We had a 7.2. So if we're entering into an alignment, you sure couldn't tell by the gap in earthquakes between the 6th of May and the 12th of May. We went a whole week without an earthquake. So is that earthquake on May 6th, does that have anything to do with an alignment? Well, we didn't have an earthquake preceding that till 4/29. So these earthquakes are a week apart. There is no sequencing yet. We go back to the 22nd and the 23rd and the 18th. We have some quakes. On the 18th, we had Taiwan had a quake, 6.0. Western Indian Antarctic Ridge, 6.5. And that was on the 18th. But then 4 days until the Philippines had a quake, 6.1. That's a pretty big gap. And then the next day, 6.4 in the Philippines again. And then 5.9 near India. And then that was on the 23rd. So we had quakes. Nowhere are we seeing strings of quakes that are connecting together. But if we're entering into alignment, this 6.1 in Costa Rica should be the beginning of such an alignment. But time will tell. Time will tell. The radiation levels are high. Right now, our background radiation is running about 100 times higher than baseline. So you have to protect yourself. You have to stay indoors. You've got to put Mylar up in your windows. You got to wear protective clothing. You got to drink chlorophyll. If you're out in the sun, give yourself a couple days to heal up before going back out in the sun. And really wear as much protective clothing as you can find. The fireballs are coming in like pretty much as we expected. Big ones streaking all over the world. And amazing people left and right. Again, if you're indoors, you see a fireball, as soon as you see a flash, and if you see a terminal flash, you're going to want to turn away from your windows and shut your curtains. Anyway, so that's how things are going. Mankind, what man does sometimes is more concerning than what the solar system does. But you can't take these X-rays and these cosmic rays for granted. Also, an announcement. I've been working a little bit for a little extra income with some people that are developing and own a patent on a molecule, and that molecule is one of the most amazing things. You can find it only in living plants, and the molecule oxidizes so quickly in air that you hardly get a chance to consume it before it turns into a less bioavailable form. So basically, we're regrowing new blood vessels with this molecule. It's amazing. We're repairing skin. We're reversing wrinkles. We're regrowing hair and acne. We're kicking butt on acne. And so if any of you guys have any of those conditions, please email us and tell us about your story, and maybe we'll send you a free sample. And until next time, be prepared, never scared.